Wow.
Hey guys, today I'm going to show you everything that I wish I had when I first got started homeschooling. Some of these are like really basic, really simple, and some of them maybe you wouldn't have thought of. So keep watching and I'll go through the list. So the very first thing I think every homeschooler needs is a dry erase board. Now, I got a pretty big one. It's a 36 by 24. And I found it on Amazon, which is where you can find basically everything you need for homeschooling ever on Amazon. Between Amazon and Pinterest, you are like pretty well set. But I'm going to put a link to it and there's a little picture of it. And this board served me so well. I used it for all kinds of things, for spelling, for memory, for just lots of things that you can use the dry erase board for. So I definitely recommend having a dry erase board. Just sticking that sucker on your wall as a stationary item in your homeschool room. That's the first thing. The second thing I really recommend is notebooks. We used these Oxford one subject notebooks and I bought a big pack. I think there was like 6 or 7. And so it's taking us 2 years to go through them. So this one's still empty. Yay, because we're going to use it this year. And these are really helpful. If your kids like to journal, even if they don't, these can help with lots of different things, including math homework, where they can just, do all their practice questions on there. And then we use it for spelling. We use it for, my kids will tell me a story and I'll write it for them for the younger ones. And we use it for that. And then my daughter likes to just doodle. And if you have a doodler in your family, it really helps to have some nice notebook paper for them to go through because it's nice and cheap and it doesn't float around as much as free paper, the one that you just buy, like the printer paper that they can just spread all over your entire house. The next thing every homeschooler needs is probably like the most basic one, but is pencils. And I actually have a recommendation on the pencil we use. We use these pencils. The name is so long, it's like Ticonderoga or something, but we bought them in a big pack from Amazon. Again, I'll put a link for it below and a little picture here so you guys can see it. These ones have been really good. They're really sturdy and they've just held up well with 4 children. That's saying something. So buy a big pack. You'll get through them eventually. It might seem like a lot. I think some people are like, oh, that seems a little excessive. It's not. When you're homeschooling, like 4+ children, these are really helpful. So the next one that we have that are, again, essential is extra erasers because somehow they go through the erasers at the back of the pencil really fast. So we've used a couple different kinds of the pink eraser. It's like a little mustache, right? The little pink erasers. Or the name is Pentel, but there's the little white ones too. And I'll put links to both below so you guys can see. The white Pentel ones work slightly better. And it's just up to you. I think there was only a couple $1 difference, but erasers are definitely important and on the list of must-haves. And not just like a little bit, but a lot of erasers. We have a lot of them and we need them all, it feels like. So the next thing that I think you should have is a stapler. I did not have a stapler in the beginning, and this is one of those things that I really wish I'd had from the absolute beginning because it really helps when the papers are all spread out to be able to staple them together. So that's the next thing. I would get a stapler. I'll put a link up there for you guys, I'll be down there, but the picture will be up there. So you guys can look at it and see which stapler I recommend. The next thing is Scotch Tape. Now, I wish I could say I had a setup for my Scotch Tape and a little pretty dispenser. I don't. We just have the little plastic ones that are this big, and I bought in a pack of 6 recently. That's another thing we go through really fast. And if I could recommend, I would say get bulk tape and then get a tape dispenser to go on your desk for your kids to use easily that way. Because it turns out that those little plastic ones, they tend to disappear. And they get used in the bedrooms and on art projects in the other room. And somehow they never quite make it back to the school cabinet. So definitely try to make it something that they don't take with them as they're working on their projects because that tends to happen. So that's my tip on that. And I'm going to say Scotch tape is the best. You don't want to go cheap with the tape because it's so annoying when you're like, when it's all tearing into little pieces. It's so annoying. So get the good tape, get Scotch tape, but put it in a tape dispenser where it's not just going to disappear somewhere and you can't find any tape, and it's so frustrating. Okay, the next thing is a pencil sharpener. The one that I bought, I will put a link to it and I'll put a picture of it because I'm pretty much in love with it. It has all these different sizes, and it also works really well. And it's got a huge, like the little basin, whatever, for all the shavings to go in. It's huge. So we're not having to dump it out constantly. But the really nice thing about it is that the way that it cuts, it's like in little tiny shapes. So it doesn't like take out half the pencil. If your kid's like just like holding it in there, it doesn't just get rid of the pencil, which has totally happened to us before. This pencil sharpener just like stops and the pencil's like perfectly sharpened. So I'm kind of like having a love affair with that pencil sharpener right now. I will definitely put a link to it below so you guys can try it out. Also super important when you're homeschooling and you're using those pencils like constantly. So the next thing is scissors. I'm going to say scissors in bulk if you can, if you have a safe place for your kids not to be able to get them without, you knowing that they have them. My kids are getting a little bit older, so it's less to worry about, but when they were small, I had scissors out of reach. But this brand I really like. It's really sharp, and the brand is kind of hard to pronounce, like I-BAM, I don't know. Whatever, I got it on Amazon. I got the pack of them on Amazon, and I really like them. If you have, smaller children, they can have the ones with the dulled edges, but these ones are good for the older kids, especially if they're cutting a lot for crafts activities. If they're cutting cardboard and they need something sturdier, these ones work really well. Okay, the next thing you definitely want to have is crayons. And in my family, we've always been more of a colored pencil family. I'm not really sure why. The crayons just ended up making a mess. But I do think crayons are really good, especially for little people who don't necessarily need to have colored pencils quite yet. I found a really cool box of crayons. We definitely had this in our toolkit when I was first starting. Just some good Crayola crayons. I'll put the link below with the picture up here. There was like a really nice box of them. And the thing with crayons is that even after they get, old or, broken down, there's really fun activities that you can do on Pinterest with them, which we totally did. And we made them, like we melted them and made them into like bigger chunks with all the little broken pieces once they got smaller. So I do think that crayons can be really fun, and then you can keep using them. They're kind of like, you can keep using them until you use up the new crayon that you potentially made from the crayons you had. But those are really important, really fun. The next thing would be the colored pencils. We kind of go a little bit fancy with the colored pencils because my kids love to color and I love to color with them, and we both are pickier. I would say the Crayola ones weren't quite good enough quality, so we used Prisma. And we've gotten a lot of Prisma colored pencils over the years. We've got like the 150 pack, the 80 pack. But they're amazing. I'll put links to those too because they're so good. And I love the Prisma coloring. It's also a really fun activity to do with your kids. So there is that too. The next thing you need, it kind of goes with the dry erase board, is the dry erase markers. I like these ones because they're liquid chalk and dry erase, so they don't have to be one or the other, which is really nice because we use both in my house. I didn't put chalkboard as an essential because it's not as essential as a dry erase board. We used it in school every single day, and the chalkboard we use, but it's not as vital. So I really like these. They worked really good. I got them at Target, but I found them on Amazon because that's where you can find everything. But these ones work really good, and I think they came with pink too, which my daughter probably took with her. But I would definitely recommend these. When I drew with them, they were really clear, and I enjoyed them. So go ahead and check those out. I will say on the chalkboard, I used a wet cloth to get them off. You're supposed to be able to wipe them off, and I didn't think that just wiping them dry worked. You had to get it like really wet and scrub it a little bit, but it still came off. So the next thing is glue. Again, something homeschoolers just gotta buy in bulk. Every time I only buy one, I'm like, why? We're gonna go through this. See, this one's been well loved, you can tell. But We go through this one a little slower, but I just buy these little sticks in bulk because every single one of my kids uses them for their projects, for science or their math or their reading or whatever. We are often doing things with glue and putting stuff together, and it's fun for just like activities that you can do around the house, whatever. These are what we use. I really like them, and we use them quite a bit. Okay, so the next thing is storage containers. There's a couple different storage containers you can use. I really don't think it matters. There's so many different options. It's just what you want it to look like, you know, what have you. So we use these ones. I got this box at Hobby Lobby, and the brand is Sterilite, and it works really well. And I keep little random stuff in this one. I have another one for spelling. I have another one for flashcards. I really like these because they close well and they're pretty, like, they don't open easily. So that's why I like this particular brand, but I'm sure that there are lots that would do the trick. So check those out and then see, you know, what you're going to need for the school year, because everybody's needs are a little bit different and the size containers you need is a little different. So another thing that I really recommend you have as a homeschooler, I wouldn't say this is a need, but I do wish I'd had it from the very beginning, from day one. And that is a map of the US and a map of the world. I got them later on, and it just turned out to be really fun and really helpful for the kids, because every time we're reading a story, instead of trying to like maybe look it up on your phone to see the location, you can go and look at a map. And you can really, it can help them identify, you know, what that looks like and where it is in the world in reference to them. I definitely recommend getting maps for your kids. I think it's so beneficial and it's really fun. I think it also kind of brings those stories to life. I wish I'd had a map from day one. We have maps now and we use them all the time. So I recommend maps. And then the other big thing, there's two more things that I would like, really important. Number one is a printer. Oh my goodness. We use the printer / copier all the time. And especially if you're doing copying worksheets or coloring books, anything like that, printer is vital. So printer, paper, ink, all those things that we use. The Epson Workforce, that's the one we've had. And it's worked really well. We've had it for about 5 years. It's like been perfect, no complaints. And it's really important for the homeschooling, I would say, to have a printer. It's been so helpful. And then the very last thing is kind of just like a tip I have for homeschoolers too. And that is using stickers to mark where you guys are, like when your kids are done with their homework. I started doing this a while back and the kids love it. I think it just kind of like makes them feel more accomplished. Like, oh, we did this today. Like, we get to be done. We get to put stickers on the pages. Sometimes they do extra to get more stickers. So I definitely recommend getting stickers. I wish I'd had these. I wish somebody had told me to like do a sticker thing. I used to like just put a grade on my kids' pages, which is fine. That works. But I think this makes it a little bit more fun. Those are my tips. If you guys are thinking about homeschooling or you're going through homeschooling this year, you can check out my channel about the kindergarten, the books I'll be using with my kindergartner this year, or you can look at the 3rd grade, what I'm doing for the whole curriculum for the year. I'll be having some more videos along the same lines, recommendations for books and curriculum coming out. But for now, you can watch those videos I've already have posted.